The Forbidden Planet and the Silent Eyes. The stars were quiet. The ship was not. Ethan ran down the shaking hallway, lights flashing red. Warning. Crash imminent, said the cold voice of the ship's eye. He held onto the walls, trying to stay on his feet. Outside the window, a dark green planet filled the screen. The planet was not on any safe travel list. It had one warning written beside its name: do not land. But he had no choice. The engines were dead. The controls didn't answer. And the ship was falling fast. With a loud crash and a blinding flash of light, Ethan's ship hit the ground. Ethan woke up hours later. Smoke filled the air. Sparks flew from broken wires. His head hurt, but he was alive. He looked around. The ship was ruined. He was the only one left. He stepped outside slowly. The sky was purple. The trees were tall and blue, their leaves glowing like soft lights. The ground felt warm under his boots. Everything was quiet, too quiet. He tried to call for help, but his radio was dead. His emergency beacon didn't work. Something on this planet blocked all signals. He was alone. Or so he thought. Days passed. Ethan built a small shelter using metal from the broken ship. He hunted small creatures for food and boiled water from a stream. He was tired, but he was alive. At night, he started to feel it. A strange feeling, like someone was watching him. Sometimes he heard footsteps in the forest, but when he looked, there was no one. Once he found footprints near his shelter, large, smooth, not human. He didn't know what they were. He stayed alert. He kept a metal rod close while sleeping. Still, each night, the feeling grew stronger. He was not alone. One evening, as the sun set, Ethan was sitting near his small fire. The forest lights began to glow around him, and the wind moved gently through the leaves. And then he saw her. She was standing between two glowing trees. Tall, silent, silver skin shining in the soft light. Her eyes were large and bright, watching him, not blinking. Ethan froze. He didn't move. Neither did she. His heart beat fast, but he felt no danger, only silence. She stood there for a long moment. Then, without a sound, she turned and walked into the forest. Ethan ran after her, but she was gone. No sound, no footprints. Like a ghost. That night, he couldn't sleep. His mind was full of questions. Who was she? Was she watching him all this time? Why didn't she speak? He had never seen an alien like her. Most alien races wore suits or spoke through translators. She wore no armor. She didn't carry a weapon. She looked calm and sad. The next day, Ethan left some fruit near the tree where he saw her. It was a small gift. Maybe it meant something. Maybe it meant peace. He waited, hidden in the bushes. Hours passed. Nothing. He went back to his shelter, disappointed. But when he woke up the next morning, the fruit was gone. And in its place, a single blue flower. It wasn't from any tree he had seen. He picked it up slowly, carefully. It was soft, glowing lightly in his hand. He smiled. The next few days became a silent game. He would leave food, or water, or tools. She would leave strange gifts, flowers, glowing stones, or smooth pieces of crystal. Still, she never came close. She watched from far away. But Ethan started to feel something new. He didn't feel so alone anymore. One night, as he stood near the stream, he saw her again. This time, she stepped closer. Very slowly, Ethan raised his hand, showing he had no weapon. She stopped. They looked at each other for a long time. Then she pointed to herself, touched her chest gently, and turned away again, disappearing into the trees. But before she vanished, she looked back once, and Ethan saw something in her eyes. Not fear, not anger. Something else, something human. Her first word was his name. Ethan had never felt time move so slowly. Each day on the strange planet felt longer than the last. But it wasn't the danger or the silence that kept him awake at night. It was her. He didn't even know her name. She was quiet, careful, and always watching. Like the wind, like the stars. She moved without sound, and whenever she appeared, Ethan felt something in the air change. Like the forest itself was holding its breath. And now he was waiting for her again. Ethan sat near the stream, where the glowing plants bent toward the water like sleepy animals. He didn't speak. He had learned that silence was better here. He left another gift, a small wooden carving he made, a simple figure of her, with big eyes and soft curves. He wasn't an artist, but it was from the heart. Then he waited. The sun faded into purple clouds. Shadows danced around the trees. Somewhere, deep in the forest, a strange animal howled. But Ethan didn't move. And then, she was there. She stepped out from the trees like a spirit. Her silver skin reflected the moonlight. Her long fingers brushed the leaves, as if saying hello to the forest before she came closer. Ethan didn't move. She looked down at the carving, tilted her head, and picked it up gently. For a long time she stared at it. And then she looked up. Her lips moved, slow and careful. She opened her mouth, and her voice came out soft, like wind through glass. Ethan. One word. His name. Ethan's eyes widened. He stood up slowly. "You said my name," he whispered. She didn't answer. Her face didn't change. But her eyes locked on his, deep, glowing, and strange. She took one step closer. Ethan felt his heart beat faster. "Who are you?" he asked softly. "How do you know me?" But she only stood there, watching. The next morning, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about it. How did she know his name? There was no way to hear it unless she had been listening for a long time. And even then, why now? Why speak now, after so many silent visits? He checked the ship's wreckage again. Maybe a log file had survived. Maybe his name had played on a loop. But there was nothing. Only broken glass and dead machines. No voice. No data. No reason she should know. Unless someone told her, or something else was going on. That night, Ethan returned to the stream again. This time, he brought something different. His old voice recorder. It still worked. He sat it on a rock and pressed record. "I don't know your name," he said, speaking slowly, clearly. "But you know mine. If you can hear me, tell me why." He placed the recorder on the ground, backed away, and waited in the trees. He didn't see her come. She was too fast, too quiet. But when he returned later, the recorder was gone. Ethan felt something shift in the air that night. A strange feeling crawled up his spine. Like he wasn't just being watched. Like something bigger was watching both of them. The next morning, he found a mark near his shelter. It was a symbol carved into the dirt, a circle with a line through it. Simple, but he didn't make it. He knelt down, touched the symbol, and felt a slight buzz in his fingers. Like static, like it wasn't just a mark, but a message. He looked up, and there she was, standing again at the edge of the trees. Ethan slowly raised his hand. "I'm not afraid of you," he said. She didn't move. "I want to understand." Still, she didn't move. But this time, when she turned away, she left something behind. The recorder. Ethan picked it up. He pressed play. And what he heard made his breath stop. A voice. Her voice. Softer than before, almost unsure. She said, slowly, carefully, "Ethan, stay, watch, I remember." Then static. Nothing else. What did she remember? How did she know him? They had never met. He was sure of it. Unless he wasn't the first human to crash here. Unless someone else came before. Someone she had met. Someone she couldn't forget. That night, Ethan had a dream. In the dream, he saw stars falling from the sky. He saw her, standing under a burning ship. Her face was full of pain. She was reaching out, her hand open, but no one took it. Then, fire. Screams. Silence. He woke up gasping. And for the first time, he wondered, had she lost someone? Was that why she watched him? Not because he was special, but because he reminded her of someone she once loved. As Ethan stood outside in the cool night air, he looked up at the stars. He whispered, "I'm still here." And somewhere in the forest, glowing eyes opened, watching, listening, waiting. A touch that changed everything. Ethan was tired. He had been on the strange planet for over 2 weeks now. His hands were rough. His face was dirty. His clothes had small tears from walking through thorny paths and broken metal. But none of that mattered. Because now, he had questions. Questions only she could answer. And maybe, just maybe, she would speak again. Every day, Ethan tried to leave small things near the stream where they first met. Not food this time, but memories. A photo from his ship's backup data, him and his sister back on Earth. A child's book with hand-drawn pictures and big letters. A piece of broken mirror. She took them all, but never showed herself. Still, he felt her. She was near. Watching. Always watching. One morning, he woke up with pain in his chest. Sharp. Cold. His water purifier had failed. He had drunk from a nearby pool the night before, untreated. Now his body was weak, his lips dry, his skin burning with fever. He tried to stand, but the world spun. He fell face first into the dirt outside his shelter. He was dying. Alone. Far from home. And then, he heard footsteps. Soft. Slow. Light, like feathers brushing the ground. Then a shadow. And finally, her voice. Very close. Very gentle. Ethan. He couldn't open his eyes, but he knew it was her. He felt something touch his forehead. Cool. Warm. Both at once. He felt a hand on his chest. His breathing slowed. His pain softened. And for the first time since he crashed, he felt safe. Ethan didn't know how long he stayed like that. Hours? A day? But when he woke again, he was inside his shelter, covered in his emergency blanket. The fever was gone. His skin no longer burned. And next to him, on the ground, was her gift. Not a flower, not a crystal, but a long, thin strip of silver cloth, soft as air, glowing faintly. Wrapped around it, a leaf with writing. In English, 3 simple words. You touched me. Ethan stared at the message for a long time. She had healed him. She had touched him. But that wasn't all. Something had changed. He felt different now. His dreams were sharper, his thoughts louder, and his hand, where she had touched him, had a new mark, a small glowing line that pulsed like a slow heartbeat. It didn't hurt, but it was alive. Later that evening, Ethan stood near the stream again. He waited. Why did you help me? He asked the forest. No answer. I saw your message. You touched me. And now I feel. He paused, thinking. Connected to you. A sound. Behind him. He turned quickly. She was there. No longer hiding. No longer silent. She stepped closer than ever before. Close enough that he could see the soft patterns on her skin, like gentle waves frozen in silver. He noticed her fingers trembling, just slightly, as if scared, as if this moment was dangerous for her. You should not be here, she said quietly. Ethan's heart jumped. She was speaking again. I didn't mean to come, he replied. The ship crashed. I didn't choose this planet. She looked at the ground. This planet chose you. They stood in silence. The air between them was heavy. Then she looked up, eyes glowing. You are the first, she said. The first to ever touch me. Ethan took a breath. Why is that so important? She touched her own arm. My people, do not touch. Touch is forbidden. It brings feelings. Feelings bring danger. Ethan stepped closer. But you saved me. She nodded. Yes, and now I feel. She paused, looked away, then whispered, I cannot stop. A wind blew through the trees. Leaves fell like glowing snow. Ethan gently held out his hand. She stared at it for a long time. Then, slowly, carefully, she reached out her own. Their fingers touched, and something powerful moved through both of them. A flash of light, a pulse of sound only they could hear. Her eyes widened. She gasped. Ethan felt it too. It wasn't just warmth. It was memory. Pain. Hope. Love. Suddenly, visions hit Ethan's mind. A planet of silver towers, silent people walking without faces of emotion. A small girl, standing alone in a large room, reaching out to her mother. But no one holds her back. A lonely queen, chosen for power, but cursed to never feel. Until now. Until him. She pulled back, breathing fast. No more, she said, voice shaking. Too much. Ethan stepped forward. I saw your world, your past. She didn't answer. I saw you. She turned away, but her voice was soft. I don't want to see you die. Ethan asked, why would I die? She looked back at him with sad eyes. Because my people will feel me now. They will know, and they will come. The queen who never felt. Ethan couldn't sleep. Not after what happened. Not after that touch. The glowing mark on his hand still pulsed gently, like a heartbeat that didn't belong to him. And each time he closed his eyes, he saw her face. Half light, half shadow. Eyes wide with emotions she was never meant to feel. He didn't even know her name. But now, more than ever, he needed to. He returned to the stream the next morning. No gifts this time. No food. No tools. No carvings. Only himself. She came again, as if she had been waiting. No sound. No fear. But something was different in her eyes. Something stronger. Like pain. She walked forward and stopped only a few steps from him. You want to know my name? She asked quietly. Ethan nodded. She looked up at the sky, then down at the stream, then finally into his eyes. I am Sura, she said, and I am the queen of this planet. Ethan didn't know what to say. He looked around, confused. But you're alone. Where's your people? Your city? Sura stepped back, folding her arms like she was trying to hold something inside her chest. They are not like me anymore, she said. Or maybe I was never like them. She pointed toward the mountains far in the distance. Beyond those peaks lies the silent kingdom. That is where they live, in silence, in control, in darkness. Ethan frowned. Why darkness? Syra's voice dropped low. Because feelings are not allowed, and light brings memories. She walked toward a tree and sat at its base, her silver fingers brushing the grass. My people were once kind, long ago, but they believed feelings made us weak. They removed them, generation after generation. Ethan sat across from her, listening closely. Syra continued, we stopped touching. We stopped hugging. Even parents do not hold their children. Love became a threat, and I was born into that world. But you're different, Ethan said. She nodded slowly. I was chosen to be queen because I showed no feelings. I was their perfect creation. Cold, quiet, empty. She closed her eyes. But something inside me was still alive. A small spark. I hid it, buried it. Until you came. Ethan felt a tightness in his chest. All this time, she wasn't just a silent alien watching him. She was fighting her own war inside. You saved me, he said. You touched me. You broke the rule. I didn't care, she whispered. I wanted to feel. Even for a second. Her hands were shaking now. When I touched you, It broke the wall I held for years. Memories I had buried came back. Smells, sounds, tears I never cried. Her voice cracked. I was not supposed to cry. Ethan crawled a little closer. Syra, I don't know why I was sent here, but I'm glad I was. She looked at him, truly looked at him, and something deep passed between them. Not just words. Something older. Something real. And then she said something Ethan didn't expect. They know. He blinked. What? My people, she said. The council. They are connected to me. We share a bond. When I touched you, they felt it. Ethan stood up fast. Are they coming? She nodded slowly. Yes, they will come to erase what happened. To erase you. Ethan clenched his fists. Then we leave. We run. There's nowhere to run, she replied. This planet is locked. It holds all inside. No ship leaves without permission, and they will not give it. Ethan's mind raced. There has to be another way. Syra stood now too. Her silver skin shimmered in the light. There is one place, old, forgotten, a door buried in the mountains. From before the silence, it may open, but only if it senses true feeling. What kind of door does that? Ethan asked. Syra stepped closer. A living one, built by our ancestors. It will only open to those who feel love. Ethan's heart skipped. Syra looked away. I'm afraid, she said, because if it doesn't open, they will find us there. And then I must choose. Ethan whispered, choose what? Syra's voice broke. Between my crown, or you. The wind picked up. The sky darkened. In the distance, faint glowing lights blinked over the horizon, moving fast. Syra saw them too. They're coming. Ethan turned to her, breathing fast. Then we go. Now. They gathered what little they could. Water, tools, the voice recorder, the mirror, the blue flower she once left. They ran into the forest together, not looking back. As they reached the edge of the trees, Syra stopped for a second. She turned to Ethan and touched his hand gently. I do not know what love feels like, she said. Ethan held her hand tight. Then we'll find out together. Syra smiled, a small, soft smile that lit up the forest. And for the first time in her life, she didn't feel like a queen. She felt human. The Council of Silence. The forest was no longer silent. Strange sounds echoed between the trees, metal wings cutting the sky, whispers in the wind, distant flashes of light that didn't come from stars. Ethan and Syra moved quickly, their feet barely touching the glowing ground. The path ahead was old and forgotten. The leaves here were darker, the air thicker. But Syra knew where they were going, and time was running out. They didn't speak for hours. Every breath was precious. Every step was careful. Ethan followed close behind her, watching how her fingers touched the trees as they passed, like she was saying goodbye to them. He wanted to ask her so many things, but something about her face told him this was not the time. She was remembering something. Something heavy. By nightfall, they reached a narrow valley between two giant cliffs. The mountains towered above them, black and blue against the starlit sky. In the middle of the valley, half buried in earth and vines, stood a strange circular structure. Smooth, dark stone. No doors, no windows, just a giant round wall. Ethan stepped closer. Is this it? Syra nodded. This is the door of memory. She walked to the center and placed both hands on the stone. It began to glow faintly under her touch, but it didn't open. Ethan frowned. What now? Syra stepped back. Her voice was low. It only opens when it feels something real. It was built by our first ancestors, when we still had emotions. It knows lies. It only listens to truth. Ethan looked at the stone again. So it needs love. Syra looked at him, her eyes deep with fear and hope. Yes. Ethan stepped up to the door. He placed his hand over her glowing mark on the stone. And he spoke. I came to this planet by accident. I thought I was alone. I thought I had nothing. But I met you. You were the first to ever see me, not as a soldier, not as a survivor, but just as a man. He turned to Sira. When you touched me, I felt something I've never felt before. You made me care. You made me want to protect someone not because I had to, but because I needed to. He placed both hands on the door now. I don't know if this is what love feels like, but if it is, then yes, I feel it. The ground shook. The wall trembled. And then, a light cracked across the door like lightning. The stone began to open. Inside, the air was cool and filled with blue light. The floor had symbols that lit up as they walked. The walls glowed with ancient writings, tales of a time before silence. Ethan looked around in wonder. This place, it's beautiful. Sira nodded slowly. It is what we used to be, before fear changed us. Suddenly, a loud voice echoed through the chamber. Sira of the first line. You have broken the vow. Ethan turned quickly. Figures stood at the far end of the chamber, tall, covered in cloaks of shadow and metal. Their eyes glowed white. Their voices were one, speaking in perfect unity. Sira stepped forward, her back straight. I am not ashamed, she said. You touched a human. You let emotion grow inside you, the voice said. You are no longer pure. I never wanted to be pure, Sira said. I wanted to feel. One of the figures stepped closer. His cloak dropped slightly, showing a cold silver face with no mouth. You were our queen. And now you are our enemy. Ethan stepped forward. She didn't hurt anyone. She will, the council answered. Love leads to chaos. Emotion leads to war. You bring danger to our world. Sira raised her hand. No, you bring danger by living without truth. You erase memories. You erase dreams. But I remember now. Her voice grew stronger. I remember laughter. I remember kindness. And I remember pain. But I would rather feel pain than feel nothing at all. The chamber fell silent. Then the council spoke again. You must choose. Sira's eyes widened. You will return with us. Let the human be erased, or stay with him. And lose your power, lose your people, lose your name. Ethan whispered, Sira, don't. Sira looked at Ethan. Her lips trembled. She walked toward him, placed her hand on his heart, and then she turned back to the council. I choose him. A sound like thunder shook the chamber. The council screamed as light poured from the walls. The old power inside the mountain began to wake. The door closed behind them, locking the council outside. The chamber changed, walls shifting, turning into a passageway. Sira turned to Ethan, her eyes glowing with tears. I gave up my crown. Ethan took her hand. You just became something even greater. As they walked deeper into the mountain, the glowing mark on Ethan's hand grew brighter. And on Sira's skin, a new light appeared, right over her heart. A sign of a bond formed not by blood, but by choice, by love. And now, they were not running. They were rising. Together, the last bond before war. The air inside the ancient mountain felt different now. It was no longer just a hidden place. It was alive. The walls hummed softly, like they were breathing. Blue lights flowed through the stone like rivers under glass. Strange symbols glowed and faded as Ethan and Sira walked deeper into the mountain's heart. Each step forward felt heavier, not because of fear, but because of what was coming next. Sira stopped near a round chamber. The ceiling above was high, filled with light that came from no source. In the center was a platform made of crystal. It looked like a stage, or an altar. Ethan looked around. What is this place? Sira answered quietly. It's called the bonding circle. He raised an eyebrow. What kind of bonding? She stepped onto the crystal floor. In the old times, she said, This is where two minds would join. Two hearts would speak as one, not with words, but with truth. Ethan followed her, careful with every step. Why are we here? She turned to face him. Because we don't have time left. Outside, the Council of Silence was gathering. Syra could feel it, through the old connection she once shared with them. Dozens of ships, hundreds of guards, machines built for one purpose: control. They were coming. To destroy the mountain. To destroy Ethan. To erase the bond. Syra looked into Ethan's eyes. I don't know how much longer we have. This mountain is strong, but it won't hold forever. She took a deep breath. There's one thing we can do. One final bond. If it works, it may open the skies above. The old energy may awaken, a force strong enough to stop them. Ethan nodded. Then let's do it. But she held up her hand. There's something you must know first. She walked slowly toward him, placing her hand on his chest. If we do this, we won't just share memories. She looked into his eyes. We'll share everything. Our pain, our joy, our fears, even the moments we've tried to forget. She paused. And if you feel love for me, I'll feel it too. And it may break me. Ethan's voice was quiet. Then let me break you. She blinked, surprised. Let me in, he said, not just for power, not to stop the council, but because I want you to know who I am, every part of me. Syra whispered, even the dark parts. He nodded, especially those. She smiled. It was the most human expression she had ever made. And it was beautiful. Together, they stepped into the center of the crystal floor. They knelt. They joined hands. And the mountain began to glow. Images burst behind their closed eyes. Ethan saw her childhood. A small girl sitting in a silent hall. She was crying, but no one came. The rule was, no comfort, no emotion. He saw her years as queen. How she gave orders with a face made of ice. How she learned to hide her fear. How she stood alone in a room full of people. And then, he saw her watch him for the first time. How curious she felt. How scared she was to come close. But she did. Because something inside her whispered, he is different. Syra saw Ethan's memories too. His home on Earth. His family. His first pet. His sister who always believed in him. His first heartbreak. She saw the war. The crash. The moments he screamed into the empty sky, begging for help. And she saw the moment he saw her for the first time. And he smiled. Even though he didn't know what she was. He smiled. Tears rolled down Syra's cheeks. Ethan opened his eyes and wiped them gently. You feel it? He asked. She nodded. All of it. And then something incredible happened. A light shot upward from the floor, through the roof, into the sky above. The clouds above the mountain broke apart, and a glowing ring of energy formed in the air like a second sun. Far away, in the distance, the council's ships stopped mid-flight. They had felt it too. The bond had awakened the old signal, a power older than silence, older than the council itself, a warning to all. Love has returned. But the joy did not last long. A terrible rumble shook the mountain. Syra gasped. They're attacking. A deep voice echoed inside the chamber, the voice of the council. You have broken every law. You will face judgment. Ethan stood up fast. We're not running this time. Syra joined him. Her eyes burned with light now, not silver, but golden. No, she said, we're going to end this. She looked at Ethan and held his hand. You gave me something I never had, she said. A reason to fight. A reason to feel. Ethan smiled. And you gave me someone to fight for. They stepped forward together. Out of the chamber. Out of the mountain. Into the light. As the sky burned with the fire of machines. And the heart of love refused to be silent. She gave up her throne for a human. The sky above the mountain split in two. Half was fire. Half was light. Ships, massive, cold, and silent, filled the air like dark clouds, raining down on the mountain with lasers and thunder. Syra could feel it. The council was coming. And this time, they wouldn't stop until she was back in their control. Until Ethan was gone. Ethan stood next to her, his body tense, but his eyes full of something Syra had never seen before. Hope. It was strange to her, and beautiful. She wasn't sure if she could live without it now. The moment they had felt the power of the old signal, the bond, she knew it had changed everything. The council had felt it too, but they had underestimated the power of what they were up against. They had never faced human emotions. They had never known love could be this strong. Syra's hand clenched into a fist, and her eyes burned with golden light. "I'm not going back," she said, her voice filled with finality. Ethan turned to face her. "Neither am I." Syra looked at the ships above, the cold, dark eyes of the council members behind them. Their ships were advanced, their weapons powerful, but they were no match for the energy the mountain had given them. No match for the strength of what Syra and Ethan had created together. But the cost would be high. She knew that. The first ship broke through the clouds, its engines roaring as it descended, aimed directly at them. Syra stepped forward, the light of the bonding circle still glowing in her eyes. Ethan stood beside her, his hand reaching out to hers. "This is it," he whispered. Syra nodded. "It is." And then they moved. The ground beneath them shook as the ships landed, and the council's soldiers poured out. Clad in dark, silent armor, their faces hidden, they advanced without a word. Their steps were heavy, but their hearts were cold. Ethan grabbed a weapon from one of the fallen soldiers, a gun, but he knew it wasn't going to be enough. They needed something more. And then Syra stepped forward. Her eyes flared with the power of the bond, her hand raised to the sky. Light flashed from her, brighter than anything they had seen before. The ground cracked, the sky opened, and the very earth seemed to bend beneath her will. The council's soldiers faltered, fear in their eyes for the first time. "I am not your queen anymore," Syra's voice echoed. "I will not obey your rules. I will not follow your silence." She stepped closer to the soldiers, her voice growing stronger. "You have controlled my people with fear for too long, but I refuse to be a part of your silence any longer. I choose love. I choose him." The ground beneath her feet shifted, and behind her, the mountain began to glow with golden light. Ethan watched, awe and fear mingling in his heart. This was the woman he had come to love, the woman who had given up everything for him. For love. The council's leader, a towering figure in silver armor, stepped forward. His voice was cold, a machine-like growl. "You are a traitor, Syra. You gave up your throne for a human, for emotion, for a weakness." Syra turned to face him, her golden eyes burning with defiance. "You think it's a weakness," she said. "You think love is a weakness. I've never been stronger than I am right now, and it's because of him." The council leader's eyes narrowed. "Then you will fall together." He raised his hand, and the machines around them hummed to life. Weapons aimed, soldiers readied. Ethan stepped in front of Syra, his heart pounding. But she didn't need him to protect her. With a simple gesture, the energy of the mountain surged into her hands. The ground shook once more, but this time, it wasn't just the mountain. It was the entire planet. Syra's eyes flared, and the light from her body exploded outward. The energy blasted into the sky, creating a shockwave so powerful that it sent the ships above tumbling, falling like broken stars. The soldiers stumbled back, their weapons useless against the sheer force of Syra's power. "You think you can silence us?" Syra's voice rang out, strong and clear. "No more. I choose freedom. I choose humanity." The council leader's face twisted with anger, but even he could feel it now. The power of love, of choice, of freedom. It was a force he had never been able to control. He raised his hand again, but the energy from the mountains slammed into him, knocking him back. And just like that, the battle was over. Sarah stood, breathing heavily, but her face was calm. She had given everything. Her crown, her throne, her old life. But she had gained something far more precious: love. She turned to Ethan, her eyes full of gratitude and pain. "Are you ready to leave this place?" she whispered. Ethan reached out for her, his heart swelling with everything he felt for her. "I'm ready," he said. And for the first time in a long while, Sarah smiled, not as a queen, but as a woman who had found what she was truly meant to be. The sky began to clear. The ships above, once part of a terrifying force, faded into the distance, their lights dimming. The council was no more. The kingdom was free. Sarah took Ethan's hand. Together, they walked toward the horizon. The future was unknown. But for the first time, it was theirs to shape, and the love they shared would guide them, always. The end.